So, we've got clever academics producing biomimetic devices, and then we've got a world of industry and business out there. How do we get the two to work together? Well, there are several drivers. Here, these are a bit focused towards the UK perspective. Firstly, there's governmental pressure. In the UK, our finances are obviously not great at the moment, so the government wants to make sure that academics are producing things that are of use to society. So the government wants to see our research going back into business and to the public. Also, for universities, the increasing challenges of the financial environment mean that we need to earn more money as well. And in the UK, our hands have been untied a bit, and we can pretty much charge whatever the market will stand to carry out bits of work. So it's a good way for us of generating revenue. Also, for individual academics, the excitement and challenge of perhaps developing something which will one day appear on the shelves in a shop can be quite intriguing and something different from usual scientific research. Also then, finally, for industry, there's the potential to access new knowledge which may result in a competitive advantage for the firm. So, what are the main factors that really can impair academic industry engagement? Well, the first one seems to be finding the right contacts. In the UK, we recently had something known as the research assessment exercise, which essentially looks at the quality of research across UK academia. To put it in perspective, 131 institutions were surveyed in this, and 50,000 individual academics made submissions. If you're an industrialist, it's quite challenging to know which of these 50,000 people is the person who you need to really speak to. So from somebody from outside academia, it can be quite bewildering. Also, for academics looking to collaborate with industry, it can also be very hard, particularly identifying the right people in companies, the people who can make budgetary decisions to commission research. Also, the way in which higher education markets itself perhaps needs to be considered when you consider these issues of accessibility. How do people find out what you have to offer? And finally, coming back to Porter's value chain, which we saw in an earlier presentation, delivery is also very important. A challenge for academics working with industry is that for academics, we tend to be given some money and then left to our own devices, and some years later we may produce something. For industry, there's the potential challenge of a whole series of downstream logistics that are dependent on the inputs from blue skies research conducted by academics. So there needs to be a bit more cultural alignment to make these relationships work. So finally, I'm going to take you through a brief history of Bionis, what we've been up to, what we plan to do in the future. Well, Bionis, to give it its full title, is the Biomimetics Network for Industrial Sustainability. It was initially funded by UK Research Council under its Sustainable Technologies Initiative. So the whole idea was to try and get this cleaner, greener route to solutions out into the wider market. So the UK government paid us for 3 years, then Swedish Biomimetics supported us as well, and at the moment the network's running on a combination of volunteer labour plus some resources from the University of Reading. So, our vision is to be the leading international network for the promotion and facilitation of industry-academic interchange in biomimetic innovation for industry. So what we want to do is try and get academics talking to industrialists. Our mission is to promote the application of biomimetics, design inspired by nature, in products and services, and its use in education and training. So we're thinking both of products and also processes as well. We often don't think so much about process innovation, but again, potentially we can learn a lot from biology about that. So we have a series of focus areas. These cover broad ranges of technology. I won't bother to read them all out, but you can see there's everything from biomedicine, architecture and design, packaging, materials and structures. So our main activities are a website, which can be found at www.biomimetics.org.uk. And if you join as a member, you get access to a database where you can look up the interests of other Bionis members. Also, over the years, we've conducted a variety of networking meetings. These have generally been focused on particular topic areas, for example, textiles, architecture and design, and medical applications. Also, Bionis has frequently held conferences. The photograph here on the right is Larson presenting the Biomimetics Prize at the last conference, which was held in Bath. This provided Carlo Menem, a promising biomimetics practitioner, to undertake visits to labs around the world to learn a bit more about work being carried on elsewhere. Finally, the main method of engagement with the membership is via the monthly Bionis newsletter, which is sent out via email. This contains topical stories about biomimetics and also lists of events that may be appropriate to the membership. Well, the network started off with very few members in 2002 and grew rapidly ever since. And it expanded very quickly beyond the UK. We've got roughly a 50-50 split between UK members and overseas members, and a similar split between academics and industry. At the moment, we're now up to something like 585 members from 43 countries. We recently conducted a membership survey to try and find out what we were doing that was good and what we could do more of. It was interesting to note that the vast majority of members expressed that their primary interests were either in architecture and design or materials. They felt that newsletters and meetings were very useful features of Bionis. Interestingly, over half of respondents indicated that Bionis may have helped them develop biomimetic technologies. Finally, the future needs are really increasing the visibility of technologies that are being offered and also technology requests from industry. And also, a perennial problem, seed corn funding to try and get some of these actions working. So, what's the future? Well, I think biomimetics offers continued scope for innovation. Increasingly, we're seeing commercialized applications out there on the market. I think the methodology is maturing, and more importantly, I think it's gaining more credence within the business and industrial community. I think there's a continued need to maintain active industry-academic interactions. Although academics can often produce prototype examples of materials or structures, to get them commercially realizable, we also have to think about upscaling processes, and that's where industry has the expertise. Finally, I think it's important to always remember industry. Academic networks might stimulate a lot of discussion, but if we're missing industry, there's no real route to get our innovations to market. So, I think industrial interest in biomimetics needs continued support. I think finding the right contacts is very important, and hopefully Bionis goes some way to doing this. I would say that Bionis has been measurably successful in terms of growth in membership and what our members say about us, and I think there's ample scope for continued development. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.